Good morning. It is right at 9 o'clock, maybe a little bit before, and I am out at our bee yard this morning. I am getting ready to inspect our production hives for the presence of honey. The honey supers have been on here for a few weeks now. They have been slowly moving up into the honey supers. We're getting mixed reports from other beekeepers in our area. So we decided that today is the day that we need to get in here and take a look, see what we've got. So what we are hoping for is, of course, that the bees are up in each of the honey supers. We're hoping that we don't have enough honey supers on, and that we need to bring out some more and get those added so that we can really be producing a ton of honey. Metaphorically speaking, I don't expect us to produce a ton of honey realistically. Sorry about that. But that said, last year was what was referred to as a dry season as far as rain was concerned. And this year's crop, I've recently learned, actually depends on last year's rain. So there has been a lot of concern with Clover, which is what the area that we're in now. This bee yard is the Clover yard, what we refer to as the Clover yard. And so we are concerned that because we had a dry year last year, despite all of the rain that we've gotten this season, because we had a dry year last year, we are not expecting that we're going to have as much. Sorry, my hair was messed up. I wanted to make sure it was laying flat. Anyway, we want to make sure that we had more. We want to make sure that we've got honey going on, because we don't actually expect that we do. So I thought that might be fun for you guys to join me as we go into these hives. Now, we won't be going in deep, so we're not going to go into the brood chamber or the food chamber. We're not going to be looking for the queen or anything like that. We're actually going to stay above the queen excluder. So everybody that's going to be up here is going to be only the female workers. Okay, so that just kind of sets some expectations for you. We're not going deep. We're not going to run into any larvae or anything of that nature. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and switch the camera so that it's facing the other direction, and then I'll point downward so that you can see as I work. All right, and you'll still be able to hear me talk, but there is the top of our first hive. You can see that we've brought some coffee mugs with us. I think that's what those rings are from. Or you know what? Those actually may be where we set down the sugar jars, or the syrup jars. So that might be some residue from there. But we will pop this top off. I'm gonna pop some smoke in here. Let that sit for just a second. We shouldn't need it for what we're going to be doing today. We shouldn't need any more smoke. I did pre-smoke each of these hives before setting up the tripod. That's not encouraging. Oh, you nasty. Get off of me. I would expect, yeah, okay, so we do not have anything going on here. So it looks like this season, for all of you who are getting your hopes up, it looks like this season we are not actually going to have much of a honey flow. Nature can be surprising. So there we go. So they're securing it with some burr comb at the base. But as you can see, they have not begun to build this foundation out. There are bees up on it working, but that's about the same as we have seen each time. In fact, let me take that out and see if your view, no, it doesn't really show you. Hold on, let me see if I can do this. Let's take more burr comb at the bottom. We'll take that one out. And this one. And this one. that should get enough of them out of the way so that your camera view will show you down into, yeah, angle you down just a little bit more. All right, so look straight down into the gap that I just left, or that I just opened up by removing those frames. You can actually see the queen excluder right here. That's these wires right here. These wires are close enough together that the queen's body is too thick to fit through that, so she can't get up into what should be the honey supers. As you can see, we got a lot of bees moving around up here, and they are working. We have a very large population of bees, but they're just not bringing any nectar up here. That, we believe, is because of last season's dry spell. We just aren't producing any honey. Now, far be it from us to take a look at one hive and make a determination based on that. So I'm gonna put this back together. We've seen what we needed to see. I am gonna leave the supers in place because I would love to be wrong. So we're gonna leave them in place. And we're gonna hope that maybe it's just too early in the morning. Maybe I woke up before the bees did today, and maybe I'm in the hive before they're ready to actually be working, or something silly like that. But we're gonna hope for the best. We're gonna leave this in place for now, and we'll come back later this week, sometime next week, and we're gonna check them again. But for today, we're going to check some of our other hives. Now, what you see me doing at this point is spacing. Normally, and you'll see it in other supers, we usually have spacers in here. We use 9 frames in our honey supers and 10 frames in our brood and food chambers for the bees, where the bees will actually reside through the winter. But up in the honey supers, we only use 9, and then we space them out. They will build the comb out outside of the frame. So they'll build it out this way, outside of the frame, so that we can come along with our knife and cut those caps off. Makes it easier for us to cut the caps off without destroying the comb. And then that way we're able to extract the honey and reuse that frame. Yeah, girl, I'm putting your home back together. So that's what you saw me doing there. That, you can see right here, is a hive beetle. I don't like those things. We have traps in the brood and food chamber so that the bees can deal with those hive beetles. But if they get up into the top, of course, that doesn't always work. All right. So we'll bring you back up, flip this camera back around so that you're looking at my pretty mug again for just a moment. Then I'm gonna take you over to the next hive. Simultaneously trying not to bump into, well, any more than that. All right, I'm gonna put you right here, which will ultimately be, you know, right in my way, but whatever, sacrifices must be made for the cause, right? All right, point you down. Oh, guess I'll flip the camera. All right, there we go. And I'll just work over here from the side. Let me go grab my smoker. The sun is out. Sun's been out for a little while. There's not a whole lot of flight activity from the beehives right now. And that's a little on the troubling side. Yeah, see, here we go. If we had a flow going on, bees would just be pouring out of the top right here. This is the inner cover that you're seeing. And we use that for insulation and ventilation inside of the beehive. And if we had a flow going on, bees would be all up in here. They'd be working. They'd be up here walking around and all that kind of stuff. You've seen it in the previous videos. But we're not seeing that right now. So that, again, is nerve-wracking. We are going to go ahead and take this off. Now this one doesn't have a queen excluder. We're going to take this off. We're going to take a look. All right. So we do have a colony of bees in here. We do have a, and it looks like a healthy colony. However, there aren't a ton of them. There are more down below. Was my head just in the way? Sorry about that if it was. There are more down below, but they have moved up here. You can see that they're beginning to build that out. They'll store food up here. The queen will ultimately move up into this one and start laying as well. But this late in the season, and I know that sounds weird from a certain point of view, but for us, it is late in the season. We are now at the point where we are having to decide how much longer do we want to give them to build up their stores versus when do we want to go ahead and just bite the bullet and spend the money and start feeding them the sugar syrup in order to get them prepared for winter. I vote for holding off and giving nature a chance because honestly it's been weird these last few seasons. Dad wants to go ahead and start feeding, if not now, then very, very soon. And it's getting harder and harder and harder for me to disagree with him. But at the same time, I always like to hold out hope. However, we are going to go ahead and move on over to the next one. That being said, the fact that we're not seeing honey in here right now does not by any stretch of imagination mean that we have weak bees. We actually have very strong colonies. There simply isn't nectar right now. And, you know, that's not really on them. That is the nature of the beast, as they say. Let's move you over to the next one, which is right here. All right. Now, there hasn't been a lot of activity. I might regret this, but since there hasn't been a lot of activity, I'm not going to bother to blow any smoke up underneath the lid. We're just going to open it up. I have previously smoked these bees, so that should have that calming effect. But normally I like to get a little bit underneath the lid too. Yeah, see? No bees coming up through the top. Now, we do have some bees on the lid. I gotta check the screen, make sure you can see that. Yeah, you can, okay. Yeah, so we have some bees on the lid. Ah, okay. Now, see, I got a little encouraged because I saw bees, but I was hoping for more than what I am seeing up here. Yes, they're up here. Yes, they're cleaning. Yes, they're working. But let's see. For instance, they're on this frame, and they're not even drawing the blasted thing out yet. If there was a honey flow, or a nectar flow, excuse me, they would already be drawing this foundation out and turning it into comb. And we're just not seeing that today. So other beekeepers, if you are watching this video or you catch this video later, I certainly pray that you are having more fortune than we are this season. But right now, we just don't have anything going on. Let's go ahead and take this off though. We'll go down to the queen excluder so that you can see the population of, you know what, let's do it the same way we did last time. We'll take that out. Got to be real careful how you set them down because you don't want to smash any bees. Same thing, burr comb from the queen excluder to the frame. So they're building, they are able to produce the wax, they're just not putting it on the dang foundation. All right, there you go. We got those out of the way. Which should, let me check the screen. Yep, that should allow you to peep right down on in there. And so you can see that we do have a large population of bees in here. This is that beetle trap that I was referring to earlier. I think y'all were with me when I installed a couple of them. So there's mineral oil or vegetable oil in there. Bees will chase beetles bite at them and all that kind of stuff to agitate them. They will try to escape the bees. They'll run down into any little nook and cranny that they can find. We provide them a nook or a cranny, and they'll run down into that. They get trapped in that oil and then, die. So anyway, you can see that we have a good population of bees in here, just from the top, which is encouraging. But you need a flow. You need nectar. So this is not the exciting trip that I was hoping for, but I am with my bees, and I do certainly love that. So it ain't all bad. We'll put this one back together. Hey, girl, I haven't done that much. You're not mad. Calm down. Put that back together, put this one back on top. Oh! Inner cover. Again, we want that ventilation and that insulation that is provided by that inner cover. Okay. Let's move on down to door number 4. All right. One of the things that I love about being out here with the bees, of course, when I'm not doing a Facebook Live, because of that, I'm getting to listen to the sound of my own voice, but there's a little bit of, that picked up the inner cover came up with the telescoping cover, the outer cover. Anyway, one of the things that I love about being out here at the bees, listening to the sound of nature. You got the birds chirping, I can hear bees buzzing, there's a fire truck off in the distance. Nature is amazing. All right. Same thing. Oh, the spacing on this got messed up. Oh, sorry, girl. Thank you for not stinging me. Yeah, that spacing got really messed up. Woo, hey, girl. Yeah, I see. This one is asking me to smoke. They're a little bit more annoyed with me. Oh, goodness. Hold on, let me go get some more smoke. Fuel. All right, sorry about that. All right, so let's take this off and look down in there. This time we're going to go all the way down to the excluder. We're not going to go below the excluder, but that way you can see just how much activity we do actually have. We'll give them a little bit of smoke. Right here we have a what are those things called? Fabric softener sheet. Woo! We're gonna put them back together. They are all over me. But fabric softener sheet, beetles will get trapped up into that as well. And you can also see that we have the beetle trap. We have that on both layers. We have those in each hive as well. Hey girl, on the head. Please don't. Thank you. Yeah, this one is letting me know they want me gone. So we're gonna put them back together. But anyway, so that dryer sheet, Swiffer sheet, whatever it's called, they get trapped in that. The beetles do. And sometimes that's a more efficient way, especially if you're going to be getting ready to move the hives. You can throw those Swiffer sheets in there, or if you're going to move, like if you're going to put them down into nooks or something like that, put the Swiffer sheets in there, and then you don't have to worry about that oil spilling out into the hives, because that oil will actually kill the bees as well as it will the beetles. And so that's what you don't want, that. And so the Swiffer sheets will allow you to move the hives in relative safety without risking the life of the bees. Now you saw me space those frames, and you can look here in this super and you can see that we actually have the spacers there. So all right, I'm gonna bring you back around to look at my lovely face again. Hey everybody who is watching right now, and thanks for joining me. So we have been through 4 of our colonies. We've got 3 more to go through. So if you've got the patience and you're still curious about what's going on, stick with me. We're gonna walk right on over here to the other 3. And we're gonna check them out as well. We won't know what we've got until we look. So that's what we're doing today. You can see the background behind me, by the way, right? All the trees. You can see when I flip this screen, you'll be able to see the field and the farmhouse and the barn. It's just gorgeous. I just love what I do. It's disconcerting, discouraging to come in and not just be overflowing with honey in the honey supers. But we do have a whole nother bee yard with a whole different flower source. And so we very well may still be producing honey this year. It just doesn't seem like it's happening in this bee yard. So that's discouraging. But you know what? End of the day, I'm with my bees, and I just love that. Hold on just a second, my fuel went out. Oh, here, let me flip this around. There we go. See, farmhouse, barn. Oh, hey girl. Yeah, she's attacking my watch. We're gonna take that dark thing off. They don't like that. Quit, girl. Quit. There we go. The smoke popped right back on. Back up. Good. When I leave here, I'm heading to the office. So any of you real estate agents that are going to be joining me at the office today, by chance, when you get there and it smells like smoke, relax, it's just me. All right, here we are. Same thing, might I add. Damn it. Oh, all right, so both of them are lifting off, so let's just do that. That's fine. All right. So we're not going below the screen, the queen excluder. But again, as you can see, right through here especially, we've got a nice big population of bees. They're just not as big as we would like them to be. But it doesn't matter how big they are. If you don't have a nectar flow, you just don't have a nectar flow. Hey, Angie. And so that's what we're dealing with. Big old populations and no flow. But here we have the queen, not the queen excluder again, but yes, we do have the queen excluder, but here we have another of the beetle traps. We swear by those bad boys. So if you are a beekeeper, if you're thinking about getting into beekeeping, beetle blasters is what these are called. And they're great. They're just little troughs, holds the oil, and really does blast those beetles. All right, so I'm putting this back together, but I did just look down into the bottom honey super and I saw that I dislodged some of those frames, so I am going to take this off and adjust those. For those of you just joining, we want enough space that if the bees do have, if we do get a nectar flow, the bees do start building out this wax, they're able to build it out past the edge of the frame, the wood on the frame, and allow us to cut through those caps more easily. So that's why we space them. And that's when we don't have spacers like you see on this super. Sad part is we have the spacers, we just got kind of lazy in wintertime and stopped putting them on the supers. So, you know, it happens. All right, let's get on down here to the next one. Shoot. Now this one is a 1.5, which means that we didn't have a very large population, but we did get enough of a population that we thought, well, maybe. And we do have bees up in the top. They aren't pouring out like we'd like to see, but they are up here. And again, not as much as we would like. All right, so we'll just take a couple of these frames out, 3 of these frames out. We'll take a look at it. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely activity. There you go, you can see it now. A lot of activity. They're just not coming up. There's just no nectar. Now we know what we're going to see in the next one because we've seen it in all of them so far. But I do believe in being thorough. I also believe that this is the only 3 deep brood food chamber hive that we have, that we're going to now. Which means that it has the largest population of bees. Which also means that even though we have strong populations in the other ones, this one has the most opportunity to bring in a nectar flow. So let's check it out. Now this one, my tripod is only so tall, so I'm only going to be able to, look how close you are. There's only so much I can do about that though. Ooh, I'm hearing them. That's a good sign. Let's remove this and see what we see, huh? Ah, that's what I would have wanted to see in all the other hives, is a large population of bees up top. It's not huge, but there are a lot more of them here than there have been in any of the other colonies. So we're gonna pop smoke and dive in. Oh, baby. They are up here. Look at them just on the base of the inner cover. That's a great sign. Give them a little bit more smoke real quick. You can see that smoke doesn't really go down into the super much. It does a little bit, but it's just really up on the top there. All right, so this is very encouraging. We have freshly drawn comb, and as you can see, there is nectar in there. Not quite, it's not quite the honey consistency yet, so they haven't capped it. Once it reaches the consistency that they want, the water evaporation has done enough to render this into what we would actually call honey. Then the girls will cap it off. Oh yeah, that bad boy's got some weight to it. Yeah, okay. So, yep, and that's the next frame over as well. Okay, so this is the very top one. That being said, well, this one was already comb when we put it in. So 1, 2 have been drawn out, or being drawn out. Oh, no, this is the third one being drawn out, a foundation. A fourth one being drawn out. They haven't gotten as far, but it's got some weight to it. This one was comb when we put it in. So I can't really say that they're drawing. Oh, wait, no. Ah, it was foundation. It was just an older one that we had in the hive last year that didn't get drawn out. But look at that. It is being drawn out this season. Okay. This is what I was hoping to see in all of them. Yep, every single one of these frames up here is being drawn out. A moment ago, I was going to say, we've seen what we needed to see. Let's just leave it at that. However, now my curiosity is piqued. I want to go down to the next one. How about you? Girl, leave me alone. Let's give him a little bit more smoke. Especially this Curious George keeps flying around my head. I guess we should say Curious Georgina, huh? I think it's when I can hear them flying really close to my ear. That makes me the most nervous. That and when they get up close to my eyeball. Those are two very sensitive, eyelids and earlobes are very sensitive locations to get stung. For the record, Dan, I don't know if you're watching now or if you're going to watch later, but for the record, that top super that I just removed had some decent weight to it. I wouldn't call it heavy, but it weighed more than an empty super would, and that's nice. Yeah, see, we are drawing out here. So what you can see from this, what you take away from this as the novice beekeepers that you pretend you are while you watch these videos, is that they simultaneously work in each of these honey supers during a flow. Again, this being the largest population that we have, it is the one doing the most production, but they are drawing the comb out on every single one of these frames. And that is a very, very, very good sign. That said, this is one of the older frames. We cut, I think we cut caps off last year. And I just want you to see. Nope. This was foundation. Every single cell has nectar in it. They will continue to evaporate that water content. Oh, sorry, girls. They'll continue to evaporate that water content until it is honey. Then they will cap it. Here's another one. These are very good signs, folks. I think you can hear the change in my voice for those of you who have been with me for a couple of hives now. Just this morning, you can hear much more excitement in my voice than you heard on the other hives, because we have so much more going on here. So share in my excitement and be very excited with what you see, because this is a very good sign. So that means for the rest of my hives, for the rest of our hives, we are in fact going to hold off on feeding. Girls, calm down. Because there is nectar out there. The other ones with their lower populations are just slower to gather it, but it's out there and they are going to get to it. So we are going to let them. We refer to this as Beekeeping 101. You're about to see it. You've seen it before if you've been with me for any length of time, but we don't want to smash any bees, and this isn't as rough as you would, oh, see, they would go right to the bottom, wouldn't they? This isn't as rough as you would think, but ready? There we go. There we go. And then of course we don't want a gust of wind to come along and remove our lids. All right. So there we have it. We've checked our, oh, you know what? I want to check that nook too. I forgot all about that bad boy. So we'll check that while we are on this together. But we have checked we've checked 7 colonies this morning. We have one more nook over here. This won't be producing any honey for us. This was actually a hive that got off to a really rough start this season. The nook that we're about to go check, we got off to a rough start this season, and so the queen wasn't really given much room. It was entirely my fault. She wasn't given much room to lay eggs at the appropriate time, so she didn't really have the population necessary to be able to do any kind of gathering. So we went ahead and reduced back down to a nook. Now, since then, and we gave her some drawn combs so that she would have room to lay. Since then, she's really kind of blown up and filled up those 5 frames. So we gave her an additional 5 frames so that she could start, so that the colony could start storing some food. She would have a little bit more space to lay. And we just did that the last time we were out. So we're gonna go ahead and check them this morning to see where they stand with that new Nook Super, okay? That said though, with the other 7, we are excited with what we saw. I'm gonna go ahead and lower this too, because that hive isn't gonna be nearly as tall as the other ones we've checked today. So we'll do that. And we'll talk about what we've seen in these other 7 while we go get over here to this nook, okay? What we've seen in these other 7 though is nice sized populations, not a big flow going on, so not all of our hives are bringing in as much nectar as we would like. But then we got to the one hive with her 3 here. I'm gonna flip this camera around so you can see what we were standing beside from a different angle. See that? So the one on the outside there, to the, I guess the left of your screen, you'll see that really, really tall hive. That's the one we were in with the big population just now. And that's the one that's got the honey, the comb being drawn out on all of the frames in both supers, honey supers. And so that's the most encouraging that we've seen today. Now this one is the one that, you know, I kind of gave a rough start to. So we're going to go ahead and pop in here and just see what's going on, see if she's moved up to the top. Oh, I say that like you can see what I'm talking about. Hold on, sorry. Remember that ear thing I was talking about? Yeah, she just tried to get me. She missed me, but I managed to stab myself in the face with my hive tool. So I think she still wins. Most of you know me personally, so you're not terribly surprised that I stabbed myself in the face with a hive tool, I would imagine. Ah! There's that Swiffer sheet. And you can see right here, they have in fact moved up. Now, they haven't spread out throughout the entire nook, but they have moved up into the second story, which is really all we were kind of hoping for at this point. We want to go into the winter time in the nooks, and we want to go in with a 2-story nook so that she will have 5 frames for her brood and 5 frames for their food, and or you know, some combination thereof. But we want to make sure that they have plenty of food to get through the winter, and it looks like that process has begun. So with this flow that we have going on, limited though it may be, the big idea is they will be able to harvest. We're going to switch this back around. Yeah. Right in the face. I was trying to get her off. She landed right under my eyelid, and I was trying to get her off. I just stabbed myself right in the face with the hive tool. Dang. All right, let's walk over here by the car. I say that like you have a choice. You're going with me regardless. But that gets us away from them. They can start kind of calming down a little bit and not being so aggravated with me. As you could tell, I wasn't that disruptive with them. However, that's a matter of perspective. I don't believe I was that disruptive with them. As far as they are concerned, I still came into their house and started moving their furniture around without permission. So, not cool, bro. Anyway, stabbing myself in the face notwithstanding, all in all, I would have loved to have seen more. But at least in one hive, I'm not disappointed in what I saw. I'm not disappointed with any of them as far as population is concerned. It does look like they have enough food and brood to get through the winter, to get into the winter. Now, we're also going to have something of a small flow in the summertime, and then we'll have the same thing, a small flow in the fall. Neither of which really give us enough to harvest. But it does give us the pollen boost and the nectar boost that we need going into the winter. And then we'll of course be on hand with sugar syrup, or the Pro Suite that we're using now, to get them the additional stores that they're going to need to get through the winter. We'll check them periodically throughout the winter as well to make sure that they haven't started digging. Dang, she's curious. Started digging into the honey source, and if they need food, we'll be able to provide them food that way. But all in all, it was a good visit to the bee yard today. Many of the hives that we went into today, they don't have a lot of flight population going on right now, so they don't have a lot of bees coming and going just yet. So, but because we're in a little shaded area, they may be waiting for a little bit more sunlight. Although at this hour, they should be getting more mobile. Several of the hives that I'm looking at right now from this angle do have a lot of activity at those front entrances. So, you know, I mean, we'll see. They're going out and getting something, right? So maybe I'm still just a week early. I don't know. Meet me here next week and we'll do the same thing. We'll go ahead and pull out the, hello caterpillar. We'll go ahead and pull out the camera and the tripod and we'll inspect again. We'll see where we are. All right. I'd really like to see that big one over there. I'd like to see where they are. By next week, honestly, we should have some capped frames. So mark my words. Let's check it out next week. See if we have some capped frames in there. If we do, the harvest begins. We'll go ahead and pull out those capped frames. We'll replace them with other honestly, this late in the season with what we've seen so far, instead of giving them foundation wax to replace that with, I'm going to give them drawn comb so that they don't, that's less energy that they have to use to get us a honey flow, right? So we'll pull out what's capped, we'll add empty frames, and hopefully we'll get those filled up too. If nothing else, we have to put the empty frames in there as a space holder, because those babies, they will build comb everywhere there is empty space. So you want to make sure that your frames are in there. We have made the mistake in the past of not adding the frame back when we needed to, or we get here, we're like, oh, we need to take this frame out, let's replace it. Oh shoot, we don't have a frame, we'll bring it back, and then we forgot. It's bad beekeeping. So if you remove, you want to replace. And so that's just word to the wise there. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I hope that you've enjoyed that. I'm going to continue to try to do these on, I think today is Wednesday. It was when I woke up this morning. I think it's Wednesday. Anyway, I'm going to try to do these from now on Wednesdays, weather permitting. If I can't get to it on a Wednesday, hey Rebecca. If I can't get it to it on Wednesday, then I'll try to make up for it on, you know, Thursday, Friday. Again, that's going to be weather permitting. If it's raining, I've done some dumb stuff in my life, but I try to leave the bees alone on rainy days because I'm just not that dumb. So we're going to wait for good, bright, sunny days, and then I'll be back out. If I can't get into the hive on a Wednesday, at least maybe I'll get on here and, you know, answer some questions if you guys have any. Please feel free to send those to me in either the comments here. I'd be happy to address them, or you can send them to me in Messenger. If you've got my cell phone number, please go ahead and shoot me a text. Ask me your questions. I'd love to be able to address them on one of these videos. Given the opportunity, if it's a question that warrants it, I'll even get into the hive and show you the answer to the question. So that might be kind of fun too. Anyway, love hanging out with you, but now I've got to go be a real estate agent and try to sell some houses. And thanks for that. I'll be at Realty Advanced all day today. So if you need anything in that department, give me a call. Let me help you out. I'd love to help sell your home or help you find your new one. All right. See you guys. Thanks for hanging out.